Today, we welcome into the studio Katie Desiderio and Michael Frino, author of The Beekeeper, Pollinating Your Organization for Transformative Growth. It's a leadership fable, and it's been coined as an essential resource for founders, entrepreneurs, executives, and managers. And a huge congratulations to you guys because it was a Wall Street Journal bestseller.
Thank you.
That is so awesome.
Thank you. It is exciting.
As an author myself now, I can totally appreciate how freaking amazing that is. So
it feels a little surreal.
I'm sure it does.
Yes.
And I'm seeing your book everywhere. I've read your book. I love it.
Thank you.
I have my copy on my bookshelf.
Appreciate that.
And we'll have your copy on our bookshelf now too.
Yay. Well, today I really wanted to talk about partners that every business owner should have. And I'm not talking about a true partner. I'm talking about that virtual bench, if you will, that virtual board of directors, those people that you need to have on your team because we're not experts at everything, right? And we hear time and time again, hire for what you're not good at. Okay. So you guys have had a lot of experience in business and in life, and you've both seen it from the corporate world as well. Mm-hmm. Who do you, or how, the top 6, and maybe it's not the top 6, maybe it's less than that. Who should we as business owners have on our virtual bench as business partners?
Certainly love this question. I mean, it's very obvious that you can't know everything. So you definitely need to have people in your life who are focused on things that you're not really great at. So, aside from like your accountant, your CPA, your attorneys, maybe someone involved in HR, I think those are some of the essential functions that need to be partners with you. I think it goes beyond that. And we talk about this a lot in business. It's those other partners, like your accountability partners, like people who are going to hold you accountable to, Jennifer, you do a great job talking about value creation, right? And you talk a lot about how do you build your personal values, but even organizational values. This is critical. And if you don't have somebody that is helping you, making sure that you're not only, you're enacting those, you're not just saying these are important to me, but you're living them in each and every day. You need someone in your life, whether they work at your company or outside your company, that can help you make sure you're staying true to who you say you are.
That's very true. What do you guys think about mentors? Because I mean, that kind of falls in this realm.
Yeah. So, mentors, coaches, accountability partners, right? There's different interpretation for all of them. I think to, our fault, many times we think, as you said, I have to do this on my own. I have to have all the answers. And there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that can often creep in as people are growing their businesses. And so I think it's important as you think about creating partners and thinking about welcoming people in, kind of converting that, imposter syndrome to confident humility. Okay. And so there's a space for us.
When I want you to elaborate on that when you're done with your thought, because that's important.
Yeah. And so I think it's a little bit of priming, right? Giving ourselves permission to say, I'm growing and I want to surround myself with people who want to grow with me. And when we do that, and, a little nod to some of the work that Mike and I are doing right now in building your STAR system, as we call it, right? We're brighter, better, richer, stronger together. And when we effectively build a STAR system, we're acknowledging that we all shine in a different way, but oh my goodness, when we come together, right, magic can happen. And so in the spirit of confident humility, this is also, as we're, welcoming partners, there's a space for all of us to acknowledge what we're good at, right? Those drivers, those things that fuel us, but also the things that make us different. In looking at like, wow, I would have never looked at it through that lens, but interesting perspective. My customers might look at it that way, right? Or might listen to that message that way. And so there becomes learning opportunities every single day that we're leaning in, right? Showing up just to be better tomorrow.
And I can totally see that because when I went into our podcast, I had no idea, what partners you guys were going to talk about. And I honestly, my head, I'm thinking, an accountant, an attorney, like the typical linear things that everybody would think about, right? And Michael, you said accountability partner. And I went, oh my God, like, how did that not make my list?
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like sometimes, and maybe it's not habit, but maybe that's not the right word for it. You just become ingrained into, well, this is what I'm thinking, right? You don't think of the abstract things all the time, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think your listeners are listening because they want to learn. And so it's like the first step to say, what am I unconsciously limiting in my options for partners, right? What am I not thinking of? How can people plant seeds to say, that might be a good idea? And then how do I kind of self-start to take action?
Right. And, you were talking about like imposter syndrome and limiting belief kind of things. And before you walked into the room, I was having a conversation with Michael and I was telling him about a thing. And I said, I was asked to do this, but I've never done that. I don't think I can do that. Like, why? There I started, right? Even though I try to be a champion for not doing that, at the end of the day, I'm human.
Yeah.
And I felt that way. And that also shows authenticity to be like, hey, I'm not perfect. Even though I try to live and breathe all of this, it's still, I need a cheerleader to be like, no, why are you saying that?
Yeah. Well, and two, you're acknowledging that, you have certain feelings, but you're also demonstrating that you're open to say, well, why am I saying I can't do that? Right. So as you build your belief in your ability, right? Build your self-efficacy. It's about having conversations with people like Mike to say like, wow, Mike kind of inspired me to say, well, you don't have to look at it that way. You could do that.
Right.
Here's how we start. But that takes a mindset similar to shifting from imposter syndrome to confident humility. How do we shift our mindset to say, let me stop, look and listen and be present to see what I can do instead of what can't I do?
Exactly. So accountability partner, what other partners?
Yeah. So I just want to touch on something you mentioned. Like our head sometimes does go to those partners that are going to help us, with the fundamentals of running a business. Right. But I think many organizations struggle with this, right? It's very tactical in nature and they forget about the human element. So when we think about accountability partners, that really brings in those cultural dimensions that are so important to a successful business. So aside from accountability partners, Katie and I always talk about, growth partners. And so while someone's holding you accountable to maybe the things that you say you're doing in your company, your mission, vision, values, making sure you're living those, you do need a growth partner. And you mentioned mentors, but these are individuals who are kind of helping you grow, learn differently, maybe pushing you out of your comfort zone, challenging you to do things, giving you the kind of belief in yourself. And I think they call this the Pygmalion effect, right? Where we're saying, I believe in you. You can do this, Jennifer. You can go out and take on a big company and do coaching, right? Because someone has to believe in you to do that. And that's where
we believe in you.
Yes, we believe in you.
Oh, my, thank you.
But yeah, for sure. I think a growth partner is important and an accountability partner is important. And we also talk about a lot about a partner in learning.
Okay.
And so who can help us learn new ways of doing things? Who can help us learn how to be better as just human beings and how to be better entrepreneurs? And those are all probably different people. Hard to have those people be the same people.
But that learning partners could also be that helps you grow, right? The more question. You know, the better you are.
And so, I want to touch on something Mike just mentioned that's important in that space of priming is when I started my consulting work back in 2016, and you think about consultant, right? It could be a little bit daunting, right?
Of course.
Can I do this? Do I have all the answers, right? Am I equipped to navigate, right, this team in their way forward? But I refer to myself, and I learned this over time, as a partner in learning. Okay. And when I reach out to people that I work with in the consulting space, it's always dear partners in learning. And so I position myself in a space that I'm learning with you. And so I come in with a certain level of subject matter expertise to guide the discussion and to guide our way. But I'm also acknowledging that I'm going to learn in all of those interactions. And I'm prepared to say, well, I hadn't thought about that before. I love that you just brought that up. Let's explore it a little bit more. But there might be more work I have to do on my end. And so in that priming, right, we position ourselves to say, we are partners to each other in learning every time we show up.
And that is such a great way to look at it because it opens your mind. Otherwise, I feel like we come into it with a closed mindset. Like if you go in, I'm the consultant and you are the consultee. I know everything about what we're going to do here. It sets the tone and it doesn't always feel great.
Yeah, 100%.
But I love that you're saying, you're going to go in and learn too, because we learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much you know, how much education you have, you're still learning.
Yep.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is so awesome. That is wonderful. Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you, take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come into the store or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. All right, friends, we are back in the studio with Katie Desiderio. Did I get that right?
Good job.
Awesome. And Mike Frino. And we are talking about partners that everyone should have in their business. And we are not talking about your accountant and your attorney. Of course, you need to have those. But we've touched on accountability partner was one big one. A growth partner was another one. So what are some challenges that business owners face when they start bringing in people that, and I call them mentors, but they're much more than that. Like we say, they're partners. What are some challenges that the business owners can face when they're bringing someone in?
Yeah, I think you use the word mentors, but when you kind of think about partnership, that's why the word partner is really important, in my opinion. A mentor and a mentee kind of have defined roles, right? I'm the mentor, you're the mentee, and sometimes it can get lost that they can learn from each other, right? And so when we talk about partnership and these growth partners, the challenge is that personality styles all play a role, right? You have to find the person who you're aligned to and that maybe you can jive with, but also is going to challenge you. And maybe you don't see eye to eye. And that's where I would encourage people to not go and find people that are like-minded, but people who are very different, right? Because those differences help people get so much better. Katie and I talk, like we cannot be more different from a personality style perspective. We've taken our DISC profiles. We believe in those, and we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? But that's what makes, I think, our growth partnership work, because I see things one way, she sees them another, and we learn from each other. And we're always willing to adapt and grow. We may not always agree, but we're willing to listen, to comprehend and understand and say, okay, let's find a way where this works together. And that's what I think is important in growth partner. If people aren't willing to do that, that's the challenges that people can face. And
it stretches you. Right? Yes. When you're working with somebody that's not just like you, it stretches you. It stretches your mind.
It's a great way to say it.
Yeah. Mike just talked about specifically as we think about small business owners, if you have someone come in that wants to help you, there's a progression of let's not listen to respond. Because innately, right, our business is our passion project. Right. And so people are giving us recommendations and we become defensive or protective because we care so much and we poured our heart and soul into this work and we believe in this vision. But we can't listen to respond. We have to go further. And Mike mentioned this, right? First, we go to listen to understand. And that means you might be like asking more questions, right? Leaning in to say, let me think about this a little bit more. But then he mentioned this, like, how do we get to listen to comprehend? And that's really in educating yourself.
You're right.
As you're listening and learning, there's a space of saying like, wow, that kind of blows my mind. And I wasn't there at all, but you're right. I can unintentionally be standing in my own way. Right.
Right.
And so in that space, that openness to be willing to take it in and learn, and then help in the behavior change of how we, navigate the way forward.
And I've got to tell you, I've been in that position, and, we've had a consultant come in and tell us somebody in the industry, but yet removed from us to tell us all of the areas that we can improve. And we've been working with this person for many years, but anytime, and my husband can tell you, he can predict this, that he knows I'm going to be the one that, no. We cannot do it that way. We're not doing how? I mean, I can find every reason in the book to say we're not doing it. And then somehow along the way, I break down after I've had time to think about it. Because right away, I react. No.
Yep.
But if you give me time to ruminate about it and to think about, okay, how could that, put all the pieces together, I come around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, why didn't we do this sooner?
Yeah.
You are making me think about, and I hadn't really thought about this prior to coming into the conversation, is it's almost like we need to partner with ourselves in some ways too.
True.
And so just as you mentioned, right, you got to know yourself over time, and you're like, what I need is to let it ruminate, and I need to process and take the time. And so how do, we encourage people to actually turn the mirror to say, let me learn about me. Let me understand what I need, where my stressors are, where I give myself permission to hit the pause button and say, I'm going to need a couple days, or I might need a month to come back and then have something that formulates, a strategy or a way forward. But there's a space of always looking outward for answers. And sometimes those answers are, right within ourselves.
And to that point, it's like a lot of times we have to get out of our own way.
Correct.
And out of others' ways.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've been in the way.
Yeah.
Not just from myself, but other people. And then once I remove myself as the roadblock, things flow.
Yeah.
Things happen organically, naturally, just how they should.
Yep.
But I was the stopper.
Yeah.
And, Mike and I talk a lot about the space of intention and impact. And in probably all of those instances, your intentions are, I care so much.
Right.
But we couldn't imagine that we're in the way, right? And the impact is that we're inhibiting growth or progression. And so again, having that heightened awareness to understand, I think, becomes important.
It takes time though.
Yeah.
It's not something, it took me years to figure that out.
Yeah.
And now I just know.
Yeah.
But I think I love the idea of, being a partner with yourself.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to put it.
Yeah.
Because it's not another person, but you have to know who you are, know what makes you tick.
Well, you do such a great job. I mean, even in your new book, right? In the end of the book, right? I could do a little plug for the book. But at the end of the book, you have this like core values exercise there. And there's a space of like so many people fail to get to know themselves. Right.
Very true.
And to really look within and understand yourself. And so much of this, I think, comes in success, small business owners, but you can fill in the blanks to a lot of other spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you guys on today. If our listeners would like to get a hold of your book or would like to get a hold of either of you, how can they do so?
Yeah. So Katie and I have a website. It's leadershipfables.com. So find us on the web. It's on Amazon and all major retailers. So, if you want to pick up a copy of the Beekeeper, we would appreciate it. And thank you for having us on.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling there's probably another book somewhere in there.
Yeah, definitely. When you like to write, you like to write. There's always great ideas,
true.
and it was books spark new ideas. So
absolutely.
Well, I'll give a little bit more than Mike, but the second book is tied to what we talked about today in building your star system. So, so more to come there.
Yeah,
I can't wait to find out more about the star system. Yeah, that's fabulous. Thank you again so much.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you, friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want to learn more about how I can help you grow your business with the help of online courses or coaching, please head to jenniferannjohnson.com. And also pick up a copy of my new book, Grace and Grit, Becoming a Confident Entrepreneur. Have a fabulous day.